We're traveling out to see Clarkson-Legg Bridge, and also probably go to the area. It's called Crooked Creek Museum. If you know anything of the North Alabama Civil War history, this area in Cullman County is where skirmishes occurred at Crooked Creek and Hog Mountain, to name a few, and these took place between April 30th and into the first couple of days of May in the vicinity of where the Clarkson-Legg covered bridge stands and where Crooked Creek runs under the bridge. It was part of several engagements which took place throughout Cullman County that day. As many as men that were led at the time by Union Army Colonel Abel Streight was his name, and they were being pursued by men led by Confederate Army General Nathan Bedford Forrest. And of course, this was due to a result of a failed attempt, later known as Straight's Raid, by Colonel Straight's group to cut off the Western and Atlantic Railroad in Middle Tennessee, which at that time was supplying Confederate Army forces commanded by General Braxton Bragg. And so that was a big thing to cut off that supply. We've been out here, Teresa and I have been out here, it's been a few years ago, but the owner of this property, I believe his name is Fred Wise. He had bought this 40 acres of land and turned it into the Crooked Creek Civil War Museum. And it's actually on a battle site where Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest and Union Colonel Abel Streight fought for several hours, and then went on to engage in the Battle of Hog Mountain and Days Gap in April of 1863. And there's several historic markers throughout rural Cullman County where all these different skirmishes occurred. And of course, this particular museum is close to West Point. Several years ago when we were here, Mr. Wise told us when he bought this land, I believe it was 1981, he didn't know this was an actual battle site. And he said when he found out and started looking at the property, found different holes where soldiers had entrenched themselves for protection during the battle, and found big bullet holes in big rocks. And the thing is, the museum is housed in the old Vinemont Stagecoach Inn, which he bought and moved to this area years ago to preserve a piece of Cullman history. And this house that we're pulling up to right here on the property also has a neat history to it. If you look at it, look at this house. This is an old cabin that was built in the 1830s, and it was originally built and was in Somerville near Decatur. And Mr. Wise said he and his son numbered each board and reconstructed it on this property. And he even discovered that on this property later that Davy Crockett and the Tennessee Volunteers passed through here on their way to join Andrew Jackson in the fight against the Creek Indians, in which, if you saw a video a few weeks ago of the Oakville Indian mounds, that's where the Creek Indians, also quite a few of them were there and buried in that area. And if you've never been out here in this area just to see, because I know I've told y'all this before, but I love history, and you know, I'm a firm believer that if you don't study your history and if you don't learn about your history, you're destined to repeat it. And so that's why I always like to look and see the things that have happened in the past and see how people can learn lessons from that. Because I'm sure that during the Civil War, you know, there were people who thought they were doing the right thing, but obviously it was for a cause that was not right. We understand that. Here we're at the Clarkson-Legg Bridge, more simply known as just the Clarkson Covered Bridge. And the thing about this bridge, it's owned by the county of Cullman, and so they have all the upkeep, and they do a great job of keeping it nice. And I know this bridge, I think, was just redone in 1975 after some some damage and some things that happened. And I guess you come to a point where we're going to leave it like it is and possibly tear it down, or are we going to try to restore it and rebuild it? And I think they made a great decision on restoring and rebuilding this bridge and bringing it back up to the standards that they have right here. And it's located on County Road 1043, which is just off US Route 278. If you go 65 and turn off there at the Double Springs exit near the Bethel community, and just a great site. This bridge was originally built, I believe, in 1904, and it's 270 feet long, which some people, they say there's a debate about that. Some people claim it's not but 250 feet long, but I do know it's listed as the third longest bridge, I believe, in the state of Alabama. But if you ever get an opportunity to come out here and visit, I would, because it's just a tremendous sight to see this. Of course, you have a information center at the front there when you pull into the parking lot, in an old style building that's built. And of course, then you see the water here. It's kind of a pond area, and of course, under the bridge, the covered bridge, which you'll see in a minute, is Crooked Creek. And that's where some of the skirmishes took place, was in this area right here where this Crooked Creek runs under the Clarkson Bridge. And I believe it was 1974 when this became a national register of historic places. And so yeah, that's just a beautiful sight, and what a beautiful day it was. And I'm so thankful Teresa was able to get out of the Jeep and walk around and take some video for me. And it's just a wonderful sight to see this. This bridge was destroyed at one time with a flood, and then it was built back up, redone by the owner and some folks that put it back to where it is now. And then I believe 2015 I saw where there was also another flood where about 8 inches of water fell, and I remember that year, if I'm not mistaken, that was around Christmas Day that happened. But I can remember how flooded it got around our house here in Hartselle. And the road was covered. It rained so hard, but it rained about 8 inches in about 2 hours, and just really did some damage out here. And I think they had to close this area down for 3 or 4 weeks till they could get it cleaned up and get it back to a point where people can come and visit and view the scenery and the beauty that this area holds right here, because it is a very neat place to see. And you look out across there and you think 160 years ago or so that people were fighting, and what a beautiful place it is now. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, just some places right here in our area. This is probably less than 30 miles away from where I live in Hartselle, and I just love going and visiting, and plan on seeing some other sites in the near future, I hope. That black and white image there is just sort of an eerie eerie feeling when you think about it. What took place here many years ago. The bridge we're on right now was built to replace that bridge there. I hope you've enjoyed it.